Hi, I'm Cash and welcome back to Rooney Watch. We're here on Cash Talks Football. We're not hoping that Rooney gets the sack. That is not what we're here to do. We're trying to point out all the reasons the team is doing poorly so he can put them right, which obviously he's not going to listen and watch this because, but that way you can actually see the demise of a football team in real time, and we're going to keep tracking this because I've given him 20 games before he gets fired. I think this is the 19th game down. We're not going to do cup games, but I am going to point on one of the best things you can see if a manager or a coach actually knows what he's doing by what one of his players does in the cup. So I'm going to bring that up and show you near the end of this video. Pay attention to that, because if you can understand this one coaching point and this one unique thing, you can change players. You can actually make a massive difference, because it is huge in football, and you won't learn it on a coaching course because generally they're not very smart on those things, and they don't teach you this specific point that is massive in football, and they don't address it anywhere. And the reason why is because you've got ex-footballers with low IQs trying to understand things that they do naturally and then trying to put it into words to other players, and they can't do it. But right here on this little first clip of the old Plymouth, we're going to show you this because it's a problem that they have and they don't identify, and they end up getting scored on for it. So the ball gets dropped in and they all start going backwards to defend the ball in the box, but they do an okay job. But here's the problem, right? It's the same problem that ends up they concede a goal with. Can you see these players here? When these defenders drop off, their midfielders, nobody is quick enough to identify the threat in the middle of the field here at all. You've got two players completely and utterly free. Why this is important is because the ball gets cut back, this guy ends up taking a shot, and you're going to see this repeated pattern in their play, that the disconnect between their back four and the actual midfield is huge, and this space is always open to be exploited against them, right? Watch dump, in he comes, and he gets his shot, maybe should have got a goal, misses the target, on we go. Now we're going to go on to the Plymouth goal now, but we're also going to show you, as soon as we show you the way that Hull score a goal, it's going to be the exact carbon copy of this play. Okay, this is the Plymouth goal, and actually there's another technical problem. I think it's the same kiddie that I watched last week. He tried to do a bicycle kick because he couldn't identify to head the ball and score a goal. So he tried to do a worldy bicycle kick. He does the same problem here, right? So he has his first touch and it bounces up in front of him. Watch what happens. He can't then identify that all he had to do is put his head there and head the ball. Guess what would have happened? There would have been a penalty, and one of these guys might have got a red card because it's dangerous play. He can't identify that okay, so let's try to word it properly in coachy talk. He can't identify which part of the body he needs to play the ball with. So depending on the height of the ball, he's always trying to use his foot. But you find this with lower level players. Look, they've all done it. They've all stuck their foot up there. When someone just needs to put their head there, he can just knock it onto this guy and he can run in and score. Or if he puts his head in, he gets himself a penalty. Last week, if he put his head in, he would have got himself a goal. Now, this comes down to doing, if you want to fix this as a coach, what you end up doing is you have to polish out that bad technique that he always wants to put his foot and raise his foot, which he should have got out of him by the age of 14, 15. If he hasn't, that's just poor coaching. You do it by throwing balls, bouncing balls at all different heights, firing them at him from anywhere distances of only 5, 10 and 15 yards, and doing at least 100 at all different heights and times. And you work on it for about 2-3 hours, and you try to polish that out. And you've got to do that at least once a week for a couple of months. So he starts being able to receive the ball at different heights and adjust his body accordingly, and not always sticking his foot up in the air, trying to control the ball like he does here. Look, I think he actually gets the ball here. Look, watch Dosh. Yeah, he tries to flick it on, doesn't do a good job. Now, this number 7 is the one I'm going to show you at the end about how he could be a good player and why he's terrible, right? All in the same clip, you're going to see it. And if he changes this one thing, he's going to be a really good player. And it's that simple. You can change one thing and be a great football player. Yeah, it's true. So here he goes, has a little touch inside the box, moves his on, bit of skill, goes looking for an opening. You can see that all of their defenders here are giving an opportunity because they're just all over the place. And he just, has a little bit of skill on him. And this guy's got a little bit of pace on him as well. Takes a little bit of a touch, smacks it to the net box, gets himself a goal. Right, let's get on to how they concede a goal, because what you're really worried about if you're trying to build a team is to make sure you don't concede goals. That's number one. Scoring goals is afterwards. If you can score goals, this kid he can. He's actually quite tasty. You're good. But do not concede goals. And let's show you that opening happened again in the middle of the field. Okay, so it all starts from this little weak cat here, going on a bit of a mazy run. He runs all the way through the middle of the field, gets to here, and he passes the ball out. Now we're looking to see how our team deals with this and what structure do they, how do they do it? Right. So what do we mean, what structure? The back four, the midfield. How are we putting pressure on the ball? We've got one guy here going to pressure the ball. Watch what this guy does. Watch what he does as we move this forward ever so slightly. And here's that disconnect. You can see it straight away. It's the exact same problem. Here they are right now. Bosh. 2v2 here. He's on his own. 1v1 there. You're in no man's land. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking you're backing up this player, but you're not close enough. So he hasn't really made a decision. He hasn't got close enough so this guy can actually pressure the ball because he's not doing anything. He is not pressuring the football here. He's too far away. Gives this guy all the time and space in the world he wants on the ball. And you've got two players up here. And if you watch my videos last year, you'll see the amount of times I was saying about if you want to score goals or defend goals, you always have somebody in the D. Defending, you'll clear them all the day long. If you're scoring goals from corners, you'll do it all day long from the D. You've just got to stand around here. And there isn't a midfielder anywhere near these two players. He's going, look, he's in no man's land. Let's just move this forward a little bit. Bob, 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 bob. To see how close he gets. This guy's just screaming for the ball. Screaming for it. Does he make the right decision? No, he doesn't. Because there's two players free. This guy's still not close enough, right? He can't. And he could have carried on running and cover his mate a little bit better, to be fair, right? If he's pressuring that, you have to come over and cover a little bit more because he's out of position. So you have to do the work and come over and stand there. You can't stand that far away. But they don't seem to really realise that. If I remember rightly, they're playing a 4-2-3-1, so you should really be able to cover it with those two midfielders. But it just hasn't. They just haven't done their job properly. This guy gets the ball cut back and he just slots it into the net box. Do you see how close he was there to tackling him? But he wasn't quite there. Do we see that? That's the difference of a couple of yards. And of course, that's all the game is really about. Let's go on to that clip I want to show you, because if you can understand this point, you can become a great player or a great coach, explaining it to other people or just doing it yourself. Okay, we're going to play you this so you can see what I'm talking about, and then we're going to talk about it. Right, watch this guy here. This is the kiddie we're talking about. Watch what he does. Every little move he does. Right, it took me a little while to find the clip. Right, did you see that? That's a clown with all those step overs. I am going to show you when he does it right, and it's much more effective in a minute, right? Because I was looking at this guy a little bit, and I found a couple of clips. So I'm going to show him doing it correct. So he knows how to do it, but he also doesn't know why he's doing this wrong. So the most important thing, if you want to coach or teach this, is what you talk about is how body movement and body shape works. So what you would normally do is say, which way are my eyes pointing? Which way are my shoulders pointing? So which way am I walking? Okay? Well, that's pretty obvious. Your shoulders are pointing that way, you're going to walk that way. His shoulders are pointing straight at the defender. So which way is he going to walk? At the defender. Doesn't matter what he does with his feet. That's clown movement. All of that is for some muppets on YouTube of, oh look, I'm Ep2 Sports, or I do tricks. Absolute rubbish. If your shoulders and your hips don't move, you don't move. So if he moves his hips and his shoulders, he can make that player fall over. Because this kid, he's got it, right? If he does that, boom, 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 shoulders and hips, he can be brilliant. But he doesn't. He does another clip I'll show you. When you're doing that foot movement, the player just doesn't react. And it comes down to the subconscious human level of how your subconscious works. If you really want to coach it, because obviously I'm brilliant, I do a little bit different. I'll try to slap you in the face. I'll move your hand up really quick. Joosh. And when someone goes to hit you in the face, they don't hit you, but they raise their arm or they move their shoulder. It's called the flinching game. You'll flinch because subconsciously your body will react to someone's shoulder movement going into you and you'll flinch. The moment you can get the player to flinch is you can beat them. That's what you're doing with the shoulder movement. You're making that player flinch. So if you don't do the shoulder movement or the hip movement, your feet are a waste of time. Your feet aren't doing anything. The only reason you move your feet is so when you can go into a power position and get your knee bent so you can explode in a different direction. That's the purpose of you moving your feet. You can't trick them by moving your feet. It's not going to happen. You can trick them by moving your hips and your shoulders, because their subconscious reacts to your shoulder movements and your hip movements. Just like if you move your shoulder to flinch to hit somebody in the head, they'll move out the way. It's the same in football if you're moving your shoulders. Your head, it can help, but you know what? Subconsciously, the other person doesn't react so much to the head as they do the shoulders and the hips. And that's what you will need to focus on, moving those. But I'm going to show you a little clip when he does it. He kind of gets it a little bit right, and you can see what I mean. It's not good enough, but he's kind of got the idea. Watch him move here. Watch him move. Dum, dum, dum. Do you see how his hips start moving? And as his hips go, this guy reacts, doof, and he gets to go the other way. That's because his hips have moved and not because he's done fancy footwork, because that's just rubbish. That's for clowns. Other than that, a couple more games for Rooney to go. Hopefully he'll make it the full 20 and Cash is wrong. And we'll see you next time on Cash Talks Football.